detailed design on 264. So we haven't had any discussions with them about shifting dollars. They've certainly supported the 40th Ave design by virtue of grant funding the detailed design here. I think we're, from a staff perspective, we're well advised to move forward, take advantage of that, use it for what we've conveyed to them, and we can certainly make additional efforts for additional funding should it become available for 264.
So we've got a provincial government that's given us grant funding for design, but we have a provincial government that won't give us money to build it. Okay?
Through the chair, that is correct. I do know that, and this was part of recent discussions, even within the last several days with Mayor Brown and an Assistant Deputy Minister of Transportation. Where the province has varied from past budget years is they have created a list of unfunded capital projects, and that has included some projects that even though they know that they don't have funding for, they are now on an unfunded list. 40th Ave is not on there, but we are advised that 566 is on there. And the province has indicated that that list will get a refresh on an annual basis, and as funds become available, you may go from not being on a list to being on an unfunded list to being on a funded list. So again, we're trying to do everything we can to make sure we're not sitting back on our heels with respect to that.
Thank you very much. And one more item off 3.3, if I could, Your Worship.
Yes, please.
Emergency backup generator for 2 Highland Park. I think all of us on council remember when we were sitting in budget meetings and it was sort of a 50-50 split between Southern Alberta District and City Council for the generator. What changed?
Through the chair. Good evening, first of all, and I guess the conversation with corporate properties, so that would be Mark, and the RCMP happened. They just do not have the funding available at this point in time. They haven't said that they will never look at the possibility of including themselves in a generator project, but just not today.
Didn't we have a commitment from them prior to budget?
No, sir.
Sorry,
I thought we did
Paul's going to respond.
Through Your Worship, through meetings at AUMA, I believe we had a verbal commitment from them. But the funding was always based in the budget on a 50-50 split, which is why we're not proceeding right now.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm just curious, but we're not proceeding. We're not required to proceed for them, like they aren't beating down the door saying you have to have an emergency backup generator?
Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair, the discussion we had with the RCMP was that they were aware of the commitment meeting that we had at AUMA. There was very concern on their part after the fact because there's no money. And so the commitment that was made at that time was that although they see the benefits of it, they just can't agree to it now, but they would like to work it into their 5-year plan.
Okay, so we're not going forward with the generator.
I think what we'd like to pursue is there's some other opportunities that have presented themselves, and so staff would like the opportunity to look at that and probably bring it back to this committee in terms of possibility to achieve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, did you want to elaborate?
No.
Sorry, you guys were conferring. I was closing it up.
No, I think we're good.
We're good, yeah.
Thanks.
You're good? Okay, thanks. And just to close out on Lauren's comment, so Building Canada Fund, we initiated that. The province didn't. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
But they knew what it was for.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the right hand is always talking to the left hand.
Exactly.
But I feel the same way, and thank you for reminding me, Lauren. I mean, we took a lot of time to consider our options on how we can fast-track things and hopefully get on their funding line. So this was one of those areas that we think is a good opportunity. So perfect. I still stand behind the decision to go ahead and get this done, this detailed work done.
Perfect. So is there nothing else? 3.3, I'll make a motion to receive for information.
Thank you. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Okay, we're moving on to item 4, agenda reports 4.1. And we have the 2016 Roadworks Rehabilitation Budget Update. And we always love to see Adam Carroll come forward, so whenever you're ready, Adam. And as long as you leave Bob where he's situated. There you go. Now, see, it'll make your report more fun.
Good
Whenever
evening.
you're ready, Adam.
Good evening, council members. Thank you, Your Worship. The engineering services is in favor and support of the deferring the Main Street work that's happening, what was scheduled for right outside of City Hall here, in favor of the downtown plan that will hopefully be going forward in 2017. And in doing that, we'd also like to, that work being deferred, we'd like to ask for money to add to a scope of work on Main Street south of Nose Creek, which will increase the life expectancy of the road south of Nose Creek in front of the museum. So deferring the one project, as you can read in the change of scope, and we would just like to request additional work to be added to the approved project on Main Street south of Nose Creek.
Okay, so, yes, Councillor Chapman.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Worship, I didn't realize it's still on.
Okay. What's the committee's, how would you like to proceed? As recommended, or any questions for Adam? Yes, Councillor Coles.
So, through the chair, if we were not to defer it, when was this on the line? I could have read it through really quickly, but I don't remember seeing when those improvements would have been made.
If the Main Street, sorry, through the chair.
Like south of the music, like south of.
That would have been on, probably on the 2018 schedule for roadworks
Okay,
repair.
okay. I have no problem with that.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Burley.
Then I'll make a motion, Your Worship, that we endorse the change of scope for the 2016 roads rehabilitation budget and transfer $350,000 from project 1720 Main Street from Elk Hill to Center Avenue to project 1721 Main Street from Marin Drive to Nose Creek, allowing the southern limits to be extended.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Yes, Councillor
Just a quick comment, Your Worship. I just got back from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. You guys do a great job on the roads. I have a four-wheel drive truck. I could not drive the speed limit on the streets in Moose Jaw. It was brutal. Unbelievable. I'll be supporting this.
That's funny. I just got back from Edmonton and feel the same way. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Worship.
Adam. You were right. I clocked you. Under 3. 4.2, Citizen Engagement into Budget Questionnaire. Lucy. Welcome, Lucy.
So good evening, Mayor Brown, committee members. So in March, staff was here. We came forward to the committee to discuss what citizen engagement for 2017 would look like. So post that meeting and direction that we received from the committee, we sort of finalized what we envisioned those tasks to be, and we've also have developed a questionnaire. So just before I get into the questionnaire, please, on your page 2, we've broken down the tactics for 2016 into these 5 areas. We thought it was absolutely important every time where we have opportunity when we go out there and ask our citizens for feedback that we actually do a bit of a circle back and tell them what it is that we did with that information. So we want to do a bit of that. We have our Look Closer fact sheets that we talked about that we do see as successful methods to actually get information out there to our citizens. So we're in the middle of updating them right now. And we did plan to do 2 more fact sheets. We've thought about the questionnaire, and we've attached to the report the draft of what that questionnaire can look like. And we're also going to continue to try to get that budget document out there in an easier form. So this evening we are looking for the committee to endorse or provide some more feedback on the draft questionnaire. As we developed the questions out there, we tried to keep in mind, well, what's top of mind for 2017 budget, and we noted things like the framework that we're doing, the fiscal framework. We've got our whole civic places, and we also thought it was important to be asking citizens about existing services as well. So, as I said, staff is just looking for the committee to endorse the questions, and then we will get it out there for engagement. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lucy. You're going to go, Councillor Coulson.
I think that this is much softer, that your questions are a little less direct, and would you give it up or would you not give it up? Make a decision right now. So it looks great. My only concern is the civic spaces piece. And do you believe the library is an important city amenity? I think it's a loaded question. And if you don't use the library or you refuse to use it because it is very, very small and people are not comfortable in that library, I would love to hear what the rest of council thinks about that, because I don't know. I think we're opening ourselves up for the whole city to tell us, no, get rid of it. But
Well, not according to council. I think we're pretty unanimous there. Good questions. Lucy, when would this go out?
Our idea was to get it out a bit earlier than we did last year, so looking by the end of June. Is that what I had in
At the end of June? Okay, and there was just, and I see Councillor Hegg's lights on as well. Just a quick question. So when Blue Box came out, I was accosted by a number of residents, in a nice way, for the most part. But they kept saying, you're taxing us again. And if there's a way to tell people that, no, that these are services that you're paying for, that seems to be the biggest sort of misinformation that's out there. And I don't know how you put that in a questionnaire, but you kind of addressed it too, actually, with the services. I forget which one it was. Campaign. You definitely have a sort of a question around that. But anyway, just feedback from residents. They seem to call our services taxes. And we need to, I don't know if it's just do a better job of explaining what a service and what a tax is. But and your taxes, supported services anyway. Councillor Hegg, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I think leaving that library question on there is fine. I'm curious to see, when we're asking those questions, just what the support is out there. So I think, it was on there for Genesis Place, I believe. I think, right? And so I see nothing wrong with it. We might be unanimous in our support, but it's always good to get feedback from citizens.
Absolutely.
if I
Any
could-
other comments as it relates to Councillor Coulson's question? Yes, Deputy Mayor Balloch first, and Councillor Chapman.
Through the chair, alluding to Mayor Brown's comments about taxes, the last question states about taxes, about would you be willing to pay more taxes? Not being around when Genesis Place was built, can we have a little bit of a background to that about how much taxes were coming from the citizens as opposed to grant dollars?
So through the chair, I guess my comments would be, I think generally, if you're building new facilities, almost in most of the services that we provide out there, you're talking operating costs in order to run those facilities. Our recreation facilities are built on the basis that we generally look to grant dollars and debt. For what you see there at Genesis Place, it's built on grant and debt. Our citizens the users of those facilities pay for approximately, I'll say, anywhere between 80 to 90% of the operating cost of that facility. They do not pay for the capital side. So that's the model for that facility and for those services. Now that's going to vary across many different services that we do provide out to the citizens. So it becomes it's difficult to explain that. One thing that maybe the more people that we draw to our budget video, for example, I do still think that sort of simplifies how we actually deliver, how we actually put out there the things that are under our utility, for example, how we put out there the things that are there in our operating fund, which are our services, and how we actually pay for capital.
Excellent. And one more other comment. Councillor Coulson's comment, I would say that Civic Spaces is opening up some more questions of what's rumored out there already. So it's just comments from myself.
So you're supportive of the question as is?
The question? No, I'm not.
Sorry, that's what her question was. Are you supportive of that being the question? So she wanted to know, city capital plans call for construction of new library. Do you believe the library is an important city amenity. Are you okay with that read the way it is?
I am not.
Okay, what would you like to see?
That question taken out.
Sorry, you gotta turn your microphone on so everybody can hear you at
That
home.
question's removed altogether.
Oh, okay, interesting. Councilor Chapman?
Your worship, I don't mind the question being there. The city capital plans for construction, do you believe the library is an important city amenity? Anybody who clicks yes, obviously they're in support of it. But if you're checking on no, I don't know if we can put something underneath, explain. If you answer no, why don't you think? Then we could see if people are saying, well, the library is too small now. It's not gonna, you know, and I like the part underneath, how important do you have for a vibrant downtown? I like that question because that'll give us an idea, basically what they're thinking about our downtown, whether we need more vibrancy, whether our downtown plan is, you know, going to be on the right track. So I don't know, Councillor Coulson, if we had under that if answered no, explain, like a brief explanation or something, would that, just to give us a question why people are answering no? I'm just curious.
Councillor Coulson?
So I like the question, and even when we're comparing it to the West Side Pool question, it's a little less loaded even than the West Side Pool question. So it's great. I guess I just look at the people who don't use the library but don't understand the services that it provides. Those are the people, I guess, that I'm worried about. So maybe that is a great option to have that comment box underneath that just says why. If they say books are a dying breed, well, that's not statistically accurate. The library is so much more than just books. So then we would know kind of the weight of some of those opinions and whether or not they're factual, I guess. Yeah. The West Side Pool one. Yeah. That one, I think it's kind of just like snow removal. We want better snow removal, but we don't want to pay for it. So those are the kind of answers I think we're going to get regardless. Nobody wants to pay for it.
Oh, I bet you the swim club would argue.
Oh, yeah,
There'd be a lot of people that would probably say yes, and I would be willing to pay a little bit more or whatever. I think it's interesting. What's the rationale? So you guys spent a lot of time going through that question. What do you remember why you guys came up with the wording the way it was around the new library?
The library?
Yeah.
So the idea was, well, that's part of our bigger expenditures that are sitting there in 2017, so we're trying to craft a few questions around that. The library's been in that capital plan for quite a while. This council has already approved design dollars for the library, so it seemed like probably the most logical piece of the whole greater scheme to ask something specific. I would agree that actually, I think a lot of the value that came out of the last survey was where we allowed people to make free comments, and I do think that's great that in as many places as possible you add those free comments in as well. Start to just get a feel, and they feel like at least they've had a voice. Coming in.
Yeah. With that said,
Councillor Coulson.
With that said, I'm fine with it. I guess my commentary was just mostly around, let's make sure that when these comments come back or the results come back, that we kind of dive a little bit deeper and understand why they are made and where we're going to go from there. But
I think it would give us an opportunity to share information with the library board as well. If we're getting a lot of answers, well, nobody reads books anymore, nobody uses books anymore. It could be an education process that the library board may have to look at. We're hearing a lot of this. Let's get some education out there. The library is way more than books, Yeah,
so. And on a side note to that, they're working on it. They've got that van. They're going to go mobile now.
Perfect.
They've got a really great plan that they're going to start to execute. So hopefully, by the time we put shovels in the ground for it.
Lockers.
Yeah.
Lucy, is there a way to put a little tag on the bottom? So I'd like to know why people answer yes to. Is like just if you want to further comment, it would be great information for us to have if that's possible. Under each question, yes or no. Would you mind elaborating?
So for each question where we have a yes or no, allow room for people to actually add verbiage in there.
We'd
Okay.
really appreciate your
We'll do
comments
that.
as to why.
For sure.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys everybody's had a chance to comment. Councillor Burley, did you want to comment? As is, okay. Can I get a motion then, please?
I'll make
Councillor
that motion,
Coulson.
Your Worship.
Thank you.
To accept and move forward with the Look Closer survey.
Questionnaire sort of as amended.
Sorry, I can't see the. My
To
screen's
include,
not loading, so I don't know
that's
what
okay.
you.
Just have to say
so
as to
just
endorse.
a motion to endorse with the comment sections.
Okay. And do we need to put as amended, Sharon, or no? Thank you very much. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lucy. Okay. Now, we are on item 5, Committee of the Whole. So I guess everybody has to leave. Come on, get out. No, I'm just kidding. I know we're leaving. I'm just making fun. They're all sitting there staring at me. I like to have fun with them. I know they have to say. They're all part of the discussion. So are we going to close the door? Close the doors to go into the Committee of the Whole here? Oh, okay. Then our meeting's adjourned here. Or no, we're not adjourned. We're taking a motion to go in camera, but we're moving into the Vincent room to do that. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, why was Greg here then? I don't understand. Just to look good? Is that what you're here for? 5 minutes for looking good. Glenn Archer, again, he's here as well. What's going on here? Yeah, I know that. But Archie we'd love to see as well, and he's just sitting there doing nothing as usual. Yeah. Oh, my mic's on. I'm sorry. I said